Good morning, everybody. Welcome to today's 1 Million by 1 Million Strategy Roundtable for Entrepreneurs. 1M, as you know, is the first and only global virtual accelerator in the world. Our mission is to help 1 million entrepreneurs reach $1 million in revenue and beyond, build $1 trillion in global GDP and 10 million jobs. And we run this out of Silicon Valley, but with a global footprint, and you will meet lots of entrepreneurs from different parts of the world today, and the discussion will be quite an international discussion. In support of our mission, we do these free mentoring roundtables every week, and we've been doing this for many years. This is the 327th episode of our free mentoring roundtables, and it has given us an opportunity to work.
Hi, Sramana, this is Roman.
Can you please go on mute and not interrupt the call?
Okay.
Maureen, can you put these other extraneous calls on mute? So, sorry about the interruption. These roundtables have been happening since the fall of 2008, and this is the 327th episode. So we've had the opportunity to work with a very, very large number of entrepreneurs over all these years, and learn about what they're working on, what their challenges are, etc. So, you know, it's been quite fascinating to be able to work with so many entrepreneurs. These are working sessions. We essentially work on entrepreneurs' businesses at these sessions. The event is being recorded. If you're live tweeting the show today, please use hashtag 1M1M, and you can join us on Twitter at 1M by 1M and at Sramana. These are the two handles that we publish our content through, and it's a lot of rich inspirational content, educational content, informational content, something that you can stay, you know, on top of the industry in, you know, quite subtle and profound ways through. Now, the 1M1M Roundtable channel on YouTube is where you'll find recordings of all our prior roundtable sessions. It's also a very interesting body of educational content. So if you listen to these prior roundtables, it's another way that you can advance your learning on the entrepreneurial process, especially early stage entrepreneurship. These are the call-in instructions. We're not quite ready for call-in yet, but eventually we will open the line up, and you will have a chance to call in and speak, ask questions, weigh in on topics, etc. We're going to start our conversation today, our session today actually, with a conversation with Daniel Cohen, general partner of Carmel Ventures. Danny has been an investor in the Israeli startup ecosystem for a very, very long time, and we have interacted for many years now. It's been a while that we haven't talked. Danny, welcome to the roundtable, and I'm looking forward to catching up with you as well as helping present your perspective to the audience here. Welcome.
Thank you. Looking forward to it.
So, Danny, let's start by introducing our audience to your work. Tell us a little bit about your fund, your investment in recent years, and just familiarizing our audience with what you're up to these days.
Absolutely. First of all, Sramana, thanks a lot for the opportunity, and I think it's very impressive, and I'm actually quite impressed by the goal of getting to $1 trillion of GDP. So I'll try to put a little bit of help in pushing this forward. So again, thanks a lot for this opportunity. As you said, I've been in the venture business now for over 15 years in the Israeli venture scene. I'm a partner at Carmel Ventures. We are, our firm has started in 2000, so this firm has been over 16 years in business, and we do early stage investments in Israeli tech companies. That means we try to invest in the best companies that start out here in Israel, and usually they start out here. At some point as they grow, they move to global markets, either on the East Coast, West Coast, sometimes even to Asia, and we try to work with them and follow them throughout the life cycle of the company. From specific verticals, we focus on everything in the broader world of IT, like many other classical venture firms. Some of our best companies are in the fintech sector and the enterprise sector, digital media, consumer internet. To give you some flavor of some of the things we've been doing, maybe in the past year, we recently I invested in a company actually operating in Israeli company operating in the U.S. called Cell Savers, which is trying to create a marketplace for cell phone repair and operating in 15 different cities in the U.S. Very different. We recently invested in a company called Credifi, which is trying to create the largest database of all the real estate asset in the United States. And very different than that, we just did a round in a company called CodeFresh, which is in the world of container development for the enterprise. So very broad in different areas, but all are early stage Israeli companies.
So Danny, I think what would be very interesting for us to talk through and have you talk us through is how Israeli venture capital is changing and Israeli startup scene is changing. You are in a very good position to give us a little bit of a historical perspective as well as an overview of what are the current trends in the industry, what's changing, what's about to change, and how do you see the Israeli startup scene moving forward?
Absolutely. So first of all, these are exciting times. I mean, the Israel tech scene has been around for a long time, but ever since, I would say in the past 5-6 years, we definitely have seen a lot of change. And I'll try to cover maybe 3 or 4 key points. One of them is Israel's called, and there was a great book called Startup Nation, and that's been, I would say, maybe a blessing and a curse a little bit. It's a blessing because it gave Israel the visibility of really how innovative the market is, and it really is a very innovative market. The curse was that people see us sometimes a little bit more of a startup, and we want to see ourselves as having the ability to grow bigger companies, not only remain in the great product, get acquired, but building global, real, large, hopefully high-valued businesses. And that's something that we've definitely seen happening more and more in the past few years. Even in our portfolio right now, we have a few companies that are close to $1 billion in valuation, and that's something that we historically never had before. And it's not only because we picked well, it's because there are definitely a lot more high-valued, real revenue-generating companies in Israel. The second thing I would say is that Israel was known to be really good in certain areas. Cybersecurity is an example. Semiconductor was another example. I think one of the great things is that now we have great companies in really every vertical. We say that for every company in Silicon Valley, you will always find some competitor in Israel. Sometimes it's a great competitor in Israel. Sometimes it's a market leader in Israel. Sometimes it's not a great company in Israel. But we have, I would say, a company in almost every category. And right now, for an Israeli investor, we feel that we can invest in almost every category, being consumer, being enterprise, being infrastructure, or being in an application. And that's fantastic because for every global trend that we see, we can actually create a portfolio around that trend, even here in Israel. And I think that actually differentiates Israel from a lot of other hot startup areas around the globe, which are sometimes a lot more focused in a certain area. So Berlin is very consumer. New York is very media and fintech. In Israel, we say that we have it all. Third thing I would say is that the number of new companies in Israel has grown dramatically. So it was the number of new startups in Israel, I would say between 2001 to 2008 was kind of steady around 400 to 600 new companies per year. And since then, it's been growing every year. And actually, in 2015, it's close to 1,500 new companies per year. That means that you have 3 new startups in Israel every day, or almost 5 every day. And that's a crazy number. And that's, again, it's a great thing for us because there are many opportunities. It's also a challenge because we're looking at a lot more companies than we had the opportunity to look at in the past. I guess kind of that's what's happening in Israel. I can talk a little bit about what the vertical trends are. Do you want me to go through that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Excellent. So I think what's really hot out there. I think what we're seeing is kind of the hot areas in Silicon Valley. I think very much we see it here in Israel. So there's a lot going on around chatbots and artificial intelligence. We see a lot of deal flow around that. Which is quite exciting. We need to find the right opportunities that can create big companies, but definitely a lot of activity there. The automotive is exploding globally, and there's definitely a lot of things happening in Israel. I'm sure a lot of you know that Waze was an Israeli company, and Mobileye, which is autonomous driving, is an Israeli company. So there's a lot of talent in Israel around automotive, and we're definitely seeing a lot of deal flow in that area. We've recently seeded a company in the autonomous driving scene, and we think there's an area where a lot of money is to be made. IoT is another big area where we are seeing good deal flow and very excited about. Beyond that, kind of the usual hot trends, drones, AR, VR, these are all things that we're seeing deal flow in. I would say that what's a little bit unexpected is that Israel is not known for our consumer applications, but we have some very exciting consumer products here in Israel, and you're going to see very strong consumer companies emerge here in the next few years.
So could you also analyze the Israeli version of the unicorn mania for us? You mentioned that in your portfolio you have a couple of companies that have reached billion-dollar valuations. If you could talk a bit more about those companies, what are the metrics of those companies, and are these, as we kind of differentiate between real unicorns and pseudo-unicorns, and Silicon Valley has become full of pseudo-unicorns, and some of those are bursting at this point. What's happening in Israel on this particular trend?
Yeah. First of all, I think the word itself, unicorn, is an interesting one, right? It was very positive for a little bit of time, and now it has kind of a little bit of a negative connotation. So I would say there are definitely a few companies emerging in Israel that are getting close to $1 billion valuation. Israel did not have, for the good and the bad, did not have these inflated, very high valuation companies with little revenues. I say for the good and the bad, it's probably a good thing, although definitely some investors in Silicon Valley enjoy the ability to sell companies for $1 billion on very little valuations. I think it's something that hasn't had it happen here a lot. Currently in our portfolio, there are 3 companies, I would say 2 companies for sure that are valued around $1 billion. One is a company called ironSource, which is a global leader in app monetization and app distribution. It's working in global markets, very active in China, in the U.S., and Europe, and has been profitable day one, has been growing very fast with hundreds of millions of dollars of revenues and great profitability. We're also very proud investors of a company called Payoneer, who just recently announced a very big round at again, very high valuation. And that company is a global leader in global payments and B2B global payments. So all the big marketplaces and companies like Airbnb or Amazon or companies like that use Payoneer to distribute payments between different businesses on a global scale. And Payoneer is operating in almost every nation globally. And that company has been profitable, again, hundreds of millions of dollars of revenues, growing very, very fast. So these are real businesses that in some ways I think are right, have the right valuation. I would say almost dare to say they're a little bit undervalued. Beyond that, beyond our portfolio, there are at least a couple of few other companies in Israel worth mentioning that I think are very exciting and that are have had, seen nice valuation growth. I can mention a company called Via in the ride-sharing space, which is a very hot space. A company called Zertu, which is in disaster recovery space, and there's a few others like that.
Okay. And so I assume that these would be the ones you're talking about as the best companies in the Israeli tech industry. What about earlier stage Israeli companies that look very promising at the moment? These are, of course, these have already got to significant revenues and significant valuation. What about Series A, Series B companies that look really promising and are indicative of certain trends that are prominent in the industry right now?
Sure. So I'll mention probably I'll give maybe two or three companies, one from our portfolio and then from other companies. In our portfolio, I will mention a company called Lightrix. Lightrix is an early-stage company. They're developing a consumer app, which has actually been quite popular, called Facetune, which is probably one of the best selfie editing app on the App Store. Very popular, and it's still early stage. It's not generating substantial revenues yet, but it's growing very fast and it's dominating that, or it has position to dominate that market. And I mention that because that for me is a great trend where great tech talent in out of the Hebrew University in Jerusalem are able to developing a world-class consumer app, which is not something quite unique. Another, I think, exciting Israeli company, not in our portfolio, is a company called Lemonade, which is working in the insurance space and is actually trying to disrupt the property insurance market, and are gaining some very good hype and buzz and traction in the New York area. Maybe those are kind of good two examples to mention.
And if you were to look for companies going forward, what kind of companies are you looking for? I'm sure you're monitoring all kinds of trends in the global, tech sector. Is there something that, you would like to invest in, that you would like to communicate to a large population of startups that, hey, this is something that I would be interested in investing in?
Sure. So I think kind of broad areas, and then I'll touch a little bit, and I touched some of these, but I'll talk about it again. I think IoT is a big deal for us, and IoT itself, I think the word itself is probably too wide. I think the world is getting more and more connected. We saw last week the risks and the potential security holes associated with that. The world is changing. When everything is connected, there are opportunities, there are risks. Anything around the IoT platform, everything around IoT applications, and also kind of thinking of how life is going to be 5 years from now. What does that mean to live in a world where everything in your home is connected is something that we're very excited about and we're thinking a lot about. And again, it's a broad area, but we're investing a lot of resources and thoughts around that. That includes itself the world of automotive, which I talked about, which I think is quite exciting. And again, that includes all around the stack, which could be consumer applications, autonomous driving, but also just the experience itself, what's going to be the future car and what that means from the media or anything related to that. So those are definitely areas we're very much excited about. We're also, and again, this is maybe quite obvious, but on the software side, we're seeing quite a big change, the world moving from horizontal software to vertical software, and suddenly people investing all around in different verticals. So a vertical can be insurance, a vertical can be agriculture, vertical can be home IT, it can be a lot of things, and we're definitely analyzing vertical by vertical. There are different verticals or areas where we think there's some very exciting opportunities, and of course sometimes these things correlate with each other. So I talked about cyber on one hand, I talked about insurance, there's a world of cyber insurance, which is emerging, which we're also quite excited about. Other areas which I think we're looking, but we're a little bit more cautious, drones, there's a lot of activity, could be exciting, but we need to see when it's going to take off, literally take off. We're looking at AR, VR, which I think as a consumer, it's very exciting. When is that market going to happen? How it's going to happen? What are the exact opportunities to make big companies there is something that we're a little bit more cautious about. So there's things we see and like. There's things we see and we're a little bit more cautious about.
So in the areas like IoT or self-driving cars, these trends have been around for a few years now, so I'm sure you've seen a lot of deal flow and you've had a chance to analyze the stack more carefully. AR, VR is probably a little bit less deeply analyzed at this point. Could you pinpoint in IoT or in self-driving cars or in AI for that matter, any specific guidance on where in the stack is are the greatest opportunities for building venture scale companies?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I'll be completely honest. Not always do we know, right? I mean, we try to guess, and we hope to get it right. I think on IoT, there's been a lot of investment in the platforms, and I think it's clear that maybe there's over-investment in the platform, but still, this is where the IoT development platform, how to create the software or the middleware layer in the world of IoT is something that we still feel there's a great opportunity there. We're less excited about the connected device itself, but how it's all going to come together into a single user experience is completely broken at this point. And I mean, you look at it, we all, we played with iOS 10. Some of you have the ability to connect your home to your iPhone, but not many devices get connected to it. And it's still not something that is very easy to understand and easy to see how it works. And I think getting all this, to bring this all together is something that we feel there's still a great opportunity there. On the automotive side, I would say that more than anything, I said it's been analyzed to death. I think there's a timing question, and I actually think that the timing now is a lot more exciting than what it was years before. So, my previous fund, we invested in a company in 2008. It was way too early. I think now the timing is absolutely right. I think there's a very, again, there are a lot of sensors out there in automotive. We think there's a great opportunity to try and bring the software layers, to bring the sensors together, to make the best algorithms, to really get all the different information to make the best decisions for some of these autonomous driving decisions that will drive both safety and better results.
And what is your thesis on AI?
Look, AI, I would ask back, what exactly is AI? AI is definitely the buzzword of the summer, or the buzzword of the day. Every company that comes in explains why they have something in AI. Again, I think we have high expectations of machines to be a lot more personalized and to act in a way that understands us and to bring us the best possible answer in the most refined way. I think that we're definitely looking and trying to find companies that under the hood have real understanding and knowledge that can bring real value in a very simple presentation layer, if that makes sense. And that's where we think the exciting opportunity is. So if you look at bots, I think at the end of it, if I can ask my computer, what's the best hotel for me, and it gives me one single answer by analyzing all the different things I've done or who I am and who my friends are, and give one very simple answer, that for me is AI, and I think right now most companies are very far away from that.
Well, let me actually weigh in on what my analysis of the AI trend is and where the opportunities are. You know, this is where I think the verticalization of various enterprise applications, enterprise workflows is that trend, and the machine learning trend comes together in very meaningful ways, right? If you look at the media buying, for instance, as a workflow, in the world of online media and real-time bidding, without machine learning, without AI, today there's almost no opportunity for really humans making these decisions. It has to be AI, it has to be, you know, very domain-specific heuristics that make those decisions. If you take that same logic to medicine, for instance, this is not as far along. There's, you know, work going on. There are startups as well as there's IBM's Watson initiative and so forth that are going after diagnostics becoming AI-driven, which I think actually is a far better kind of diagnostics that will come out of that effort than human diagnostics, because right now we are expecting doctors to make multivariate optimizations in their heads, which is not possible really, and keep up with all current research and everything. So these are just examples of how vertical workflows can be powered by both data and rules and heuristics, which are then going to, coupled with machine learning, can really make decisions of the kind that you're talking about. But it has to be domain specific, because you cannot really give any machine learning algorithm that level of vocabulary unless it's a constrained, constrained vocabulary. Does that make sense to you?
I totally agree with that, and I think you've done that was a great analysis, and I think I agree 100% with it. I tend to look sometimes in a very simplistic way to look at the world a little bit on serious problems and not serious problems, and I think it'll be nice to see AI actually work really well to help consumers make kind of simple decisions. I guess that was my point. And but I agree with you. They're definitely in the medical area and some other areas. They're very interesting opportunities that can bring real value to the market. And I think you're 100% correct there.
All right. Well, Danny, thank you for coming, and let's keep in touch. We'll have you again in a bit and keep the dialogue going. It's
Sramana,
very
thank you.
interesting to see the progress of the Israeli ecosystem.
Thank you, and again, you're on a great mission, and happy to be part of it, and looking forward to catching up soon.
Thank you. Folks, we're going to switch to the mentoring part of the program today. I want to set some expectations before we start listening to the entrepreneur pitches. Please know that for all of you, we are here to work with you. This session is a working session. Our only agenda for being here is to help you move your business forward. There is absolutely no other agenda, and we are on your side. We're not anybody else's side. We're not here to gratuitously give you negative feedback. This is entirely a safe place for you to come and discuss your issues and see if we can help you, tackle those issues, get perspective, and so forth. If you disagree with my feedback today, that's okay, no problem. It's your venture. You get input, and you get input from multiple people. At the end of the day, it's your venture. You're going to make decisions, and you're going to go whichever direction you want to go. Remember, not all businesses can raise money, and raising money doesn't guarantee success. This is something that we need you to understand, because there's too many, there's too much of this myth floating around that entrepreneurship equals financing, which could not be farther from the truth. So please do not get trapped into that, misconception. And finally, do participate in any way you feel appropriate for your mode of interaction. You can use the public chat to ask questions and weigh in about with your thoughts. You can also call in once the line is open. I will open up the line in a bit. But this is a roundtable, so you do need to participate to get the maximum value out of this session. All right, Roman Antonov, you are first. Zahlkult is the company from Berlin, Germany. Roman, please unmute your line and tell us what you're working on.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Beautiful. Well, I would like to thank you for the opportunity first, and for the beautiful talk and a well-organized working session. Let me quickly introduce myself. As far as you know, I'm Roman Antonov. I'm the founder of the startup calling Zahlkult. It's a short way from the German Zahlungskultur, which means the payment culture. And as far as you can see, we are a flexible way to instant pay. And all these words on the first slide are connected to us because we are a financial marketing and media tech startup. Next slide, please. So the anywhere and anytime cash payment system for online purchases. What does it mean? We connect the buy online, pay offline modes. In Germany, there is a very big cash intense culture of paying their bills and buying products and different services in cash. Literally 82%, if you look back on the data, on the statistics, 82% for 2015 of all the consumer spending markets were bought in cash. Next slide, please. So, meaning that we are going to grab on the people from the streets and that still want to buy online, but want to pay offline. We will provide them the opportunity to do this. We have developed an alternative payment system which will be able to let the customers pay in cash, credit cards, debit cards, in the future as well, Bitcoins and e-wallets. We already are in talks with PayPal Germany to attract them to provide the possibility for the customers. If you appear to be without cash and credit card on the street and you still need to pay off your electricity bill or your whatever, or you need to top up your mobile phone, you will be able to do this with PayPal through our self-service terminal. If you look on the process, literally talking about e-commerce, the customer will buy online, will download our navigational app, and will be directed to the next self-service terminal, which will be around the corner or the next couple hundred meters. Then he will come up to it, will choose the industry, the brand, the product. Then he will type in his mobile phone number. We would ask him to confirm the correctness of the entered data. Next slide will be like where he would literally enter the bill into the bill acceptor or his credit card. Yeah. So to pay the purchase. Then he will receive, no, still the slide before. Then he will receive the receipt and within 3 to 5 seconds receive an SMS that will say, thank you for purchasing through Zahlkult. You have been credited and topped up for this brand, for this product. After that, the collection of the money will be done by a company like Securitas, and the cash will be brought into a bank, credited to our account, and we will pay off then with our through account to account the B2B merchant. Next slide, please.
Roman, before you go to the next slide, I have one question.
Yeah.
The design that you have created, you know, the architecture of the system that you have created here,
okay.
Is there any way of eliminating this physical kiosk?
Eliminating?
Yeah.
So you mean literally not to use the self-service kiosk, but
yeah, is it
provide
possible to do it? Yeah, is it possible to do it with apps and pure online without using a physical kiosk? Because as you can imagine, I'm sure you've thought about this, you know, putting enough kiosks in the city is a huge adoption barrier.
That's true. That's true. It's work behind it to find the location partners and stuff like that. But how would you want to provide a 24/7 free, like let's say a freedom in location, in the way the customer wants to pay?
I'm not saying that I have an answer to this question. I'm just asking you to think about it because I haven't thought closely enough about the design of this system or the architecture of this system. So off the top of my head, I cannot give you an answer. If I think about it longer, perhaps I can think, you know, give you more meaningful feedback. But I'm just raising this question so you can at least think through is there a way of removing this adoption barrier? Because anytime there is physical hardware involved in any kind of adoption cycle, it's an issue.
Yes,
so
I
that's
agree
something
with
we
you.
need to worry about.
If you want to, if you think about going into markets like hospitals, airports, the network of transportation infrastructure, bus stations, train stations, you have no other way rather than placing a terminal. And plus with the terminal, we will be able to also go into markets like hotels, motels. We will be able to digitalize processes and optimize the process for the customers and for the businesses by providing also the customers a range of languages. Let's say the 10 most spoken languages. If you come from let's say Israel, and you only speak Hebrew, then we might have this language in our system. So you would need to struggle into going to shops, trying to communicate where the employee won't understand you.
That's okay. So yeah, just file this question that I just raised in a way and think about it offline. Let's keep going with your presentation.
Yeah. So the slide problem and solution, if you look on it, it clearly shows you what are today's problems, today's solutions, and our solution. By raising up an example, for example, you want to play online poker, and it's already 11 in the evening, and you only have cash in your pocket, but you want to kind of play this tournament online, which a lot of people do today. There is no really options today on the market except going in Germany to a petrol station or to a 24/7 kiosk, which aren't so many in the city, and buy and exchange cash into virtual money. With us, you would need to travel so much, and you would be literally do it around the corner by buying a top-up voucher. And what we want to do is we want to do contracts and integrate our systems with the biggest online gambling platforms to provide the customer a very clear advantage in just typing in his login name, and he will receive this credit directly on his account within this online gambling institution. Security-wise, we have a very sophisticated 5-channel cybersecurity system and monitoring platform. So we provide a very secure platform, so the customers don't need to worry about. Plus, we don't ask the customer to provide any information, names, addresses, and stuff like that. You literally need to spend around 20 seconds to be able to process a payment. Yeah, next slide, please. If you look on the competition side, we do have competition, but we can turn competition into our partnership, like I said with PayPal, for example. The botsign.de is today the only solution that provides, and that was literally funded by the Ministry of Economy and Finance in Germany with around 2.5 million euros of funding. Plus, they had a couple of angel investors. Since 2013, they work and operate on the German market. And what they do is, for me, an old way to pay your bills online by using a cash model system. You literally receive a QR code or a barcode that you need to print out, and you go to the next partner offline shop, like a supermarket or something. They have already over 10,000 shop partners around Germany. But still, with this system, you are limited to the working hours of the shops. So the shops close here at 6 to 8 o'clock in the evening, and the customers are limited. Plus, the shops that they have, they are not really around the corner. I can place my terminal in any cafe, in any restaurant, at the museum, you know, and stuff like that, whereas they cannot. Even though they already have millions of customers using their system, so printing out the QR codes and going to the next shop to pay for it. Yeah, if you look on things like choice of payment methods, all payment methods, we are the ones that can provide literally all payment methods. We are one of the ones that don't use any client information. Yeah.
Roman, we need to move along a little bit because there are 3 other presenters. So if you could touch on the highlights and then get to your questions, that would be great. Of
course. So talking about the product and the services, if you clearly see, we can be a provider of any consumer spending market, product, goods and services, from finance, banking, up to, we can also provide the public sector, taxi, emergency services. We want to introduce a free SOS service around the city, which doesn't exist yet. Next slide, please. The market. You have today over 600 billion euros in cash payments annually, over 30 billion transactions annually that are paid in cash. Today, this is the information from 2012 from the German National Bank. Today, it's already at averagely 25 euros that are paid in cash by the population. There are a lot of credit cards missing on the European market and on the German market. Over 156 million are without a credit card. There are the market, the e-commerce market is growing. Since last year, it grew over 20%, and up to 2020, the prognosis is 17.6% averagely year by year. Next slide, please. This is our roadmap, how we want to start. We start first with the first 500. We can implement them within 2 months. We take more time. Literally, we show 6 to 9 months because we put in also the preparation round of 3 months inside. We need around 3 million euros today. The next step would be raising 25 million
Roman,
euros.
This is probably worth pausing on and thinking through. Have you analyzed the German market in terms of financing? Are people financing concepts?
This is not a concept. We have a ready-built software solution. We have the ready-made, not only prototypes, but the product itself. We have today 2 terminals that are in our office that already work. We can show literally to the investor how things work. So he will be choosing the industry, the brand, the product.
No, I guess the question I have is, are you able to prototype this? Can you put kiosks and can you show transactions? Can you basically pilot the whole thing before you ask for financing?
Yes, we are doing this already for more than 1.5 years. I have invested into my startup over 800,000 euros already. We have the ready and finished product with the software and the hardware solution.
Okay, so this is not your first financing, this is follow-on financing.
Exactly, so this would be the Series A financing, where we say, if we get today 3 million, we need 3 months to prepare ourselves to do all the commercial contracts. We already have contracts with the telco market. We have the national telecommunication, international telecommunication. We will be the only one on the market, on the offline market, to provide international top-ups for mobile phone networks.
Which vertical do you have proof of concept in?
What do you mean?
Well, where do you have proof of concept? You said you already have kiosks operational and people are transacting. What kind of use case is that? Is that in a hotel or?
We have them in our office, 2 of them right now. So it's not only a prototype, but it's a ready-built product that we can bring on the market within 3 months if we have the finance. So the product is there, the software solution is there, which was worked out during the last 15 months with a team of 12 IT guys.
So my one guidance to you would be, if you can put that out in some sort of a use case, whether it's inside of a hotel or some place where people can start transacting and show what this looks like in terms of transactions, transaction volumes, etc., that would help you raise financing.
Yes, but we cannot really put 1 or 2 terminals out, because this is a network solution. We want to go on the market with like the first 500 to be able to say we are a network, to do the PR and marketing activity, plus the contracts, the other contracts. We have over 200 contracts already within the telecommunication and gaming industry. We have PlayStation, we have Xbox contracts, but we need e-commerce contracts. So I was investing my own money up to today, and today I need to raise to also be able to hire great lawyers that will do contracts with other commercial partners. We need to do location contracts.
Okay, Roman, I'm going to have to, stop here with you. We can talk more later. I have 3 other people that I need to work with. So if you just hang on, I will come back to more Q&A later on in the program. But there are issues with your assumptions that it's not easy to raise money unless you can show, activity from a business point of view. Just having the technology ready often is not sufficient to raise Series A financing these days. Anyway, we can come back to that.
All right, cool.
Thank you, Roman, for your presentation. Next presenter is Nilima Malhotra, Conssona Solutions. Nilima, where are you joining from?
Yeah, hi, Maureen. Is there an echo?
Nilima, yes, you need to turn off your computer. You have both your computer and your phone on, and therefore you're echoing through the phone.
Nilma, please mute your computer speakers.
Hello, are you able to hear me?
Yes. We're able to hear you, but you're generating too much echo, so we can't have a conversation like this. Maureen, can you put Nilima on mute? I'm going to move on to the next presenter. We don't have enough time to wait around while you work behind the scenes with her to sort her out. Rahul, are you on the call? Rahul Rao, are you on the call? What's going on? So which one is this presenter? Rahul S? Is not Rahul Rao? Jai is next. Jai is next. Okay, I need instructions from Maureen on who's next. I'm running through presentations and I don't see who's going to do the presentation. Is this the slide deck that we are on next? Is Jai on the call? Jai Eapen on the call?
Hi.
Hello, Jai.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Hello?
I can hear you just fine. No echo, nothing. Clear call. Please go ahead with your presentation.
Okay, great. Hi, this is Jai Eapen here. I'm calling in from Hyderabad, India. So I would be talking about Brite Camp. That's a platform which we are building for students to showcase their arts and crafts. Okay, now we have given a tagline saying that by the children, for the children. So over the due course of the presentation, basically you will come to know why we have given in that tagline. So a quick background about the founder. So I come with about 17 years of experience. I've done 2 startups earlier, successfully failed. I don't have any regrets in saying that. So the first was a failure. The second was I had issues with my set of investors, so I kind of moved on. And I do have a technology co-founder who comes in with about 22 years of rich experience. He has again founded 2 companies, Jobs Bank and Healthy Loud Ones. So both are running as of date, and right now he's there full-fledged into Brite Camp, and he's looking into the technology aspect. Sramana, if you don't mind, the next slide, please. Okay, so what we are trying to do out here is basically, today if you look at, there are small children. I do have 2 daughters. One is 11-year-old one, the younger one is 5 years. So the elder one, I have seen her kind of coming up with a lot of arts and craft during her spare time. As a hobby, she does pursue a lot. And what we realized is, unfortunately, there isn't any platform for her to kind of go ahead and showcase her arts and craft. Okay, so the only places is whenever there is a parent-teacher meeting, they go ahead and showcase it. Otherwise, alternatively, it is like we take a pic and put it on Facebook, which is like kind of liked and commented. So what we said is we might as well come up with a platform wherein the children are able to go ahead and socialize and kind of go ahead and showcase their arts and crafts. So we said that today, if you look at, there isn't a platform for a discovery platform, especially for kids to go ahead and showcase their arts and craft, and they get things discovered. So if I'll have to take an example of Mr. M.F. Hussain sir, who got discovered at the age of about 55, 60, you know. So we said that if talent is there around us, so let's come up with a platform, an online platform wherein the talent gets discovered. So that being the case. Okay, now how the entire process kind of works is, what we have said is over and above showcasing a kid can go ahead and sell it as well. Now the thing is, what we are looking at is seeding philanthropy at a pretty early stage. We say that if one or the other kid goes ahead and sells something out there, 50% of the sale proceeds goes towards some or the other children-related costs. And 30% only goes to the kid, and just 30% is basically goes in as an encouragement and at least to meet whatever cost that they would have incurred in coming up with the art and craft, and 20% we retain as the operational cost. So this is a quick flow diagram of how things work. So typically, if you look at in this internet age, though kids have a good access to the internet, but we want everything to happen under parental guidance. So we say that the parents will go ahead and register the child using their email ID and their mobile number. After that, the arts and craft gets uploaded, it gets liked, commented, and shared by the family and friends. And if they would like to go ahead and sell it, they would be able to go ahead and sell it. Otherwise, many a parent, they say that no, they are pretty emotionally attached to the entire thing. They said that, okay, fine, we don't want to sell it. Then it can just go as an exhibition place wherein they just go ahead and exhibit it, and people come and like and comment on it. Okay, further down, it's what I had mentioned earlier, like 50% goes towards charity and 30% to the kid. And in the entire due process, the kid feels empowered that, okay, fine, I'm doing something really good and I'm getting encouraged in the due process. And in the due course, what happens is we have kind of, just to make the platform more engaging, we have gotten something, the gamification element, wherein we say that for each and every activity done by the children on the platform, they get certain Brite Camp points. Okay, now these Brite Camp points, once it gets accumulated to certain points, they would be able to go ahead and redeem it against some of the other stuff which is available in the Brite Camp store, and which would come absolutely free of cost. For the points that they would have gained, say, they go ahead and register themselves, they get 5 points, they upload something, they get maybe 7 points, and if it's on using a recycle or reuse thing, they would get about 10 points. For each like, they get a point, and for each comment, they will be getting about 2 points. So this way, we have gamified the entire thing just to make sure that they kind of get points and they are encouraged to come onto the platform, as well as we have created some leaderboards and badges also, which they would be getting as and when they progress on the platform. Okay, now the total market size, what we are looking at is about 138 million kids. That is the urban kids which are there in India. Now, when we would be launching the platform itself will be a global platform, but unfortunately, because we don't have setups across various other countries, we wouldn't be looking at monetizing it. But yes, children across the globe would be able to kind of get onto the platform and connect with each other, and they basically socialize and kind of share knowledge and kind of share ideas on any subject of their common interest, let it be maybe canvas painting or quilling or maybe weaving or anything of that sort, you know. And if you look at by and large, Brite,
I have a question here.
Yes.
Talk to me a little bit about customer acquisition strategy. Of course, there is, you know, social media marketing and so forth, but have you, you know, piloted anything or talked to schools and so forth, so that you can, is there any community of craft teacher or art teachers in schools whom you can, you know, readily tap into to move this forward?
Okay, so Sramana, what I have done is I spoke to about 3 schools. So first being But Natural, the school wherein my daughter studies. Okay, so I can take that as an outlier probably, wherein they might feel obliged that, okay, fine, one of the parents is trying to build something, so let us kind of go ahead and help and support. So therein I went ahead and met with the principal, the teacher. So initially it all started off of just being just a plain vanilla idea of like showcasing arts and craft, but over a period, this is how we evolved where we are today as of now. Okay, so from my daughter's school, wherein about 800 kids, a pretty small number, they have various other branches also. So they said that we'll pilot it with our branch, and after that, we'll go ahead and make sure that the other branches are also there. So these 800 kids are ready to onboard. I went ahead and addressed the students for about 40 minutes, I and my co-founder. So all the kids are kind of excited. So literally every other day, my daughter gets tortured by the kids in the school asking that, okay, when is it your dad had come and he had spoken about Brite Camp. So that's how it is. So there is a good amount of buy-in from there. Over and above that, I spoke to 2 other schools, and the other school wherein I spoke, I went ahead and addressed about 1,800 students in the assembly, the morning assembly where it happens. Okay, and there was a reasonable amount of buy-in from the students, as well as the arts teacher as well as the principal had asked us to come down and set up a stall during parent-teacher meeting and interact with the parents and tell them about the entire platform in a much more larger aspect.
So in the interest of time, I'm going to have to move you along, but the thing that the question that is kind of buzzing in my head, I like your idea a lot. The question that is buzzing in my head is, what is the fastest go-to-market strategy for this? And my instinct is the fastest go-to-market strategy would be if you can find some sort of a group, and this may already exist. You know, the Facebook group may very well exist of art teachers and craft teachers of various schools. So see if you can find one of those so that you can have, hold on, let me speak. If you can find 100, 200, 500 art teachers and craft teachers of various schools in your target segment, and if you can go to market directly through them, that would be the fastest go-to-market strategy for this business.
Thanks a lot. In fact, we have already thought through it, and I have already joined all the available arts and crafts teachers group, let it be LinkedIn, let it be Facebook, as well as I have like scraped the entire internet for the data of all the arts and crafts classes across all the major cities in India, and by and large I'm looking at by and large going to Delhi somewhere in the month of January and speaking to bigger groups like the Kendriya Vidyalaya Sangathan, the DPS, so these are the larger groups who have about 1,000, maybe 200, 250 schools under them, So that way, kind of looking at, as you rightly said, a quick go-to-market strategy and making sure that we have about 100,000 users or maybe getting to the million users. I'm not sure by when we would be able to do it, but yes, do have aggressive plans around it.
So your question about bootstrap versus taking funding, let me answer that question. You need to show two things. One, you need to show that you can acquire customers rapidly, not just users, but customers, as in there needs to be transactions, revenue generating transactions, and you need to show that this business can ramp fast. Once you can show that, you will qualify for funding. Without that bit of, proof of concept, it would be hard to immediately raise money. You can raise friends and family kind of money, but professional financing, professional angel financing or VC financing, it will take more actual, proof of concept that you need to show that, yes, these art teachers are taking whole bulk, whole classes of students, putting them on this platform, and there are transactions happening.
Okay.
Because one of the questions that comes to people's mind as they're thinking through this as a business, just like it's coming to my mind, is it may not be so difficult to get tons of art teachers and their classes on this platform to showcase, but somebody has to buy for your business model to work. Somebody has to buy. The question is, are people going to buy? People may be willing to sell, but are people going to be willing to buy?
Okay.
And you need to show evidence that is happening.
Yeah. So the thing is, one kid's arts and craft may be sold for about 4 to 5 times. So that would be, it cannot be as a typical e-commerce platform wherein there is like, for one particular user, there is like about 20 or 50 transactions happening. But what we are looking at is the data that we would be collecting over a period, and if there is a sizable chunk of user base, then this can be monetized in multiple ways, So there can be the advertisement that can happen, there can be the stores that we can put up.
Advertising revenue is just not sufficient. You will never have enough traffic which will make advertising revenue interesting.
Fine. And next can be, say, if any kid's birthday is coming up, we can ask them to give their wish list from whatever is available on the Brite Camp store, and we can ask their parents or their near and dear ones who have bought their stuff to kind of look at and maybe try to give something to the kid.
Okay, so you can ask people to do something. You're trying to change human behavior, social behavior, which is very difficult to do. There are many things you can ask people to do. Yeah, so, you could create a culture in this community where for kids' birthday, the custom is to take some other kid's art or craft and give it as a gift. But that kind of human behavior change takes a tremendous amount of time, and that's not easy to engineer. So these are the risks of your business that you need to think through, and that you need to, ideally, if you can just create transactions happen and, create an interest amongst the parents of these kids to support all these kids' work and buy their work and so forth, that would be the best situation. And it may happen if you can stimulate enough activity in the parents and kids. That would be the ideal scenario. But the problem is about trying to work with investors right now is that's not a given, and that's not proven. You don't have any evidence that is going to happen. So there's going to be some amount of skepticism around that assumption. So you're going to have to provide evidence that you can make that behavior happen.
Okay. Now coming to the last question, I wouldn't take too much of the time. I know like there are other participants also waiting. Now, if you would be a VC, now what would be the kind of, now we have spoken about the evidence, okay, how many number of users and what would be the kind of top line or the number of transactions, what would be the matrices that you would be kind of looking at for saying that, okay, fine, this venture kind of interests me, and probably I would like to look at it.
If I'm a VC, I'm looking to build a company that can go from, zero or thereabouts to $100 million in 5 to 7 years.
Okay.
Okay, so somehow or the other, you have to convince me as an investor that you have a business that can move that fast and can reach that kind of scale. So very often what I advise people to do is to do all this validation and velocity building such that maybe, it will take you 2 years, 3 years to do all that groundwork. And by the time you go to VCs, you have evidence that, okay, now I understand this business, I understand what are the levers of this business, how to move this business along. And now if I bring in VCs, I can convince VCs that you can go from zero to, or maybe by that time you've reached $1 million, maybe you've reached that $1 million slowly. Maybe it has taken you 3 years to reach that $1 million, but you have figured out in the process all the levers to push such that if you put in investment, you can go from that 1 million to 100 million in 5 to 7 years. That's the VC equation.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Okay.
Any other glaring things that you see out here in the entire business model?
Oh, I'm sure there are lots of others, but we don't have more time today, Jai. If you hang on, I will explain to you how to use 1 million by 1 million going forward. Let me finish working with Nilima and her team.
Fine. Thank you so very much.
You're welcome. Nilima, are you on the line?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, and your echo is gone, so go ahead.
Yeah, actually, so what happened to Rahul? Were you not able to hear him?
I have no idea.
Okay, because he's the one who is going to pitch today. I'll just give a brief overview of the company. So,
okay, it seems like your team wants to pitch next week, reschedule for next week, yes?
Yeah, it's better, I think, because he's
fine.
The one who's going to
just
talk
sort out the technicalities with Maureen, please, ahead of time so that this doesn't happen again. And please do not send so many slides. You have roughly 10 minutes, and you can't do this many slides in 10 minutes. Compress your presentation so that you can have a meaningful conversation with me in 10 minutes.
All right.
Okay?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. James West, you're up next.
Hello, Sramana. How are you?
Hello, James.
Hi.
Go ahead.
Thank you. This is Asset, the autonomous staffing solutions for employing temporary services. Next slide, please. We intend to use emerging technology to recruit, assess, match, and place associates smarter and faster than traditional staffing companies. So, to give you a little background here, my lead programmer, Brian Rebick, probably two years developing assets to the point where we now have a prototype. And I kind of went undercover as a recruiter for 3 different companies, 2 corporate and 1 staffing agency. So I have about 2 years of recruiting experience now. I work for FedEx, UPS, and Volt as a recruiter. So staffing experience now in the corporate side, and what I've reduced, you go to the next slide, please. Thank you. That there's a huge market here and disruption for the staffing industry by removing the recruiters. I've worked with Brian now for 2 years, as I mentioned. He's AI background and machine learning. And so what we wanted to do was going into 2017 was to finally launch. And I really love your concept regarding bootstrapping. So I've invested some money of my own and now looking for small funding. I'll probably go to an angel investor, not at least initially, just to build the actual website, working website and mobile app so we can roll out in 2017. So just looking here quickly to give you an idea of the market in the U.S., it's growing 4% in 2016, another 4% in next year, for a total of $145 billion. The fastest growing industries are healthcare, IT, education, and financial services. Next slide, please. Thank you. So just to give you an understanding, and I left out a few slides, I apologize, I didn't want to overwhelm you. I know that I suggested 10 slides. I wanted to give you, to kind of share with you what the candidate or applicant experience is and the client, but that's a little too much detail. So here we just basically have a web-based and mobile platform that would be much more efficient than traditional staffing. So to give you an idea, we use an ATS system, and we basically, once the associate has been onboarded, they would upload their resume, and they're in our database at that time. They've gone through all the other, the background check and so forth to become an associate of assets, and now they're in the system. So when the client on the other side of the platform, we basically plan to, for our first client, we'll have all the information in the system already. And then what happens is the system basically matches the client's job description and the associate's background, their work experience, just like they do now, but without the human element, doing it without the human element, sourcing the associate for the client. It's done automatically. And of course, I'll just put in here the more information about us and what we want to do with data analytics. Next slide, please. Thank you. So a few problems that we solve from is high turnover, slow job fill, and EEOC compliance. And one thing that you probably know already is kind of big in the industry, or basically most industries, is diversity. There's no way for applicants to discriminate against, an associate that is in the system when we're talking about matching. As a recruiter, we're human, and we tend to subjectify things, unfortunately, when it comes to hiring. And I've experienced this firsthand. So we want to remove that element, and they call that blind diversity. And you don't mention the person's last name, or if they're ethnic, you don't mention their name initially, nor anything referring to who they are, other than their background experience. Our competition here is Allegiance, Adecco, Robert Half, which you've probably heard of, and AMN, which is a healthcare staffing firm.
James, there's nothing technology-driven? There's no online version of this?
So no, there's no current online version of what we intend to do. Now, there's online platforms, yes, there's online staffing platforms. There's plenty of them, and they're actually growing. But there's still the recruiting aspect. There's still the client and the recruiter posting a job description for the client that unfortunately still requires their candidates or their employees to go online and search for work, search for these jobs.
I have to say I have a hard time buying into that conclusion because what about work market? Have you looked into work market?
The work market that's similar to the freelance, like that was you're speaking
work
of,
market is kind of temp hiring for enterprises.
Yeah, I'm looking at it here. Let me just go with you here. You can bear with me. Yeah, you're speaking of like. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
let's just run through your presentation. I'll give you some pointers, but the thing that worries me most about this, businesses in the hiring space is that it's a very crowded space, so you really need to position yourselves really tightly. And as you know from my writings, that one of the biggest tricks of successful bootstrapping is really, really tight positioning and finding a niche where you can make a mark and close customers and generate revenues quickly.
Right. No, you're right. I agree with you. And I just said work market, and the difference with work market is the freelancers basically that they put through their system. They're not employees of work market. They're freelancers.
Yeah. They're freelancers catering to enterprises. Basically, they do enterprise hiring, but with freelancers, they basically help freelance teams, temp worker teams, essentially come together for large companies, which is sounds like that's similar to what you're talking about.
Well, if you can imagine this, you know Robert Half, Adecco, you know these companies. It's basically So it's basically those companies, right? Just imagine this: a staffing firm, but without their recruiters. So totally different than work market. Just think again, Robert Half, Adecco, but they don't have recruiters anymore. It's just the machine, the system that is basically doing all the interaction. Well, you know what I mean by all, meaning that the matching part, the placing part, the onboarding, initial onboarding. But I haven't removed the human element completely, because there's interaction between the client success managers and the actual staff, which are the associates. So I'm going to quickly do this. I know we don't have time. So why we're different? We have a pre-hire assessment. And I mentioned in the pitch deck, 99% of staffing firms do not do pre-hire assessment. That's huge now. Most companies are using a pre-hire assessment. And what that does is it helps eliminate down the road, it helps eliminate the turnover, the mismatches, which happen all the time.
And there are all kinds of technologies available to do effective pre-hire assessments these days as well. We've looked at those kinds of technologies as well quite a bit. So yes, I think there is an opportunity to do something scalable there. Right. So within that, we do that. We have a custom personality assessment called Mindset Agency Theory that we use. So this is going down here quickly, faster onboarding process, which means that the initial onboarding this happens online, and then we take it offline, and we'll have a meeting group basically for everyone. That's one thing that when I was a contingent worker, I was a lone wolf. You know how that is as a recruiter. I only dealt with a recruiter. I didn't know who else I was working with. Other than the company, the employees that I'm not, when I go on the job, on an assignment, I was there briefly, right? I wasn't part of the company culture necessarily yet. So the other advantage is that we'll have an integrated mobile app, 24 access, of course. And then what I like about this system is that we can collect industry performance metrics across the hires and our clients and markets to improve the system as we move forward. Next slide, please. Thank you. Our revenue source which is typical here, 50 to 60% markup in exchange for full cycle staffing solutions, 22% for permanent placement. And what I like about the potential, should I say, for assets is to compete with VMS and MSPs and RPOs. Next slide, please. Thank you. And basically here, Sramana, this is a 5-year plan, again, looking at launching small initially next year. But we'll finalize the website this year. What I wanted to do was to go to companies, potential companies rather, that may become clients, and get some early feedback from them, have them run through our demo. I do have the demo. Have them run through it, give us some feedback. Give us some pros and cons of assets. And then in 2017, the plan is to launch in Boston. James, my first and biggest feedback to you is to go study the work market case study on our blog. On the 1M1M blog, do a search on work market.
I see it.
That case study is very relevant to what you're doing, and you will learn a lot from that case study. And I think a lot of your blueprint of how to build this company is mapped out in that case study.
No, listen, I appreciate that. I looked at work market because it's similar to the gig work. It's similar to what's the one.
And you can do whatever you like in terms of your own interpretation in assets of other value you want to provide, other differentiation you want to provide. But in terms of business strategy, you will most likely follow very closely the work market strategy.
Listen, I appreciate your time, Sramana, and I'll continue to follow you. You're definitely a visionary. Thank you again.
You're welcome. All right, folks, let's quickly go through how to use 1 million by 1 million for those of you who are considering using this as your, steady, continuous acceleration partner. And if you decide to join 1M, we will be working with you on a week-by-week basis, on a daily basis, on a weekly basis. We will be meeting to discuss your businesses on a continuous basis, and you will also have access to our curriculum and our methodology. So before I go into that, though, I would like you to, if you like what we are doing here, I would like to ask for your help in spreading the word among serious entrepreneurs. We are looking to work with serious entrepreneurs. There's this misconception, as I said, that entrepreneurship equals financing, and people don't want to do the work, and they think that they can raise money out of the gate. That's just not the kind of entrepreneurs we are interested in working with. We're interested in working with entrepreneurs who understand that there is a certain amount of bootstrapping involved to get to validation, get to traction before investors are going to be interested in working with you. And that's the more realistic, feet on the ground perspective, and we're looking for entrepreneurs who buy into that perspective, who are realistic, who understand that perspective. So please spread the word around if you know entrepreneurs like that who are looking for help, and we'll be delighted to work with them. So resources-wise, everything is at 1mby1m.com. And you will find a very rich blog that you'll learn a lot from. I just advised James to go to the blog and look up probably the most relevant case study for his business. And we have over 750 case studies. So there's a tremendous amount of, blueprint repository that we have collected in the program, and you will be able to learn a lot from these entrepreneurs and their journeys who have been very successful. You can also go to the Entrepreneur Journeys book series. These are case study-based books. Each book has 12 to 16 case studies, and you can, again, learn a lot through that as well. On the website, you'll find a tremendous amount of material, lots of video FAQs that will answer your questions. These roundtables happen every week, and these are free. So you can keep coming back to them, listening to the recordings of prior roundtables, another good, learning platform. If you want to pitch in one of the upcoming sessions, just go to the pre-public roundtables link, and there is registration instructions, pitching instructions, etc. Go ahead and register to pitch or attend. The full program, the full acceleration program, is an annual membership fee-based program. There is no expiry date, so it's not like a 3-month graduation kind of program. You can continue to be in the program for as long as you want to, as long as you need to, and it's basically $1,000 a year. We offer you extensive methodology guidance. We have a curriculum that is almost 400 hours worth of curriculum material, video lectures and case study based. That includes these 750 plus case studies, plus a lot of video lectures synthesizing learnings from the lessons from the trenches of the entrepreneurs who've helped us build this curriculum. We help you also with strategy consulting. Just like these sessions, there are private sessions for premium members only where we do the project-based guidance. And we help you with business development, whether it's potential introductions to potential customers, channel partners, investors, media, analysts, all of that is part of the $1,000 annual membership program. It is $1,000 per annum, yes, Jai. You can get help with financing, but please set your expectations that not just by joining the program, you do not immediately get introduced to investors. You have to be, per our judgment, ready to be introduced to investors. We don't want you to send. We don't want to send you to investors to be rejected. You have to have a certain set of proof points to be introduced to investors. So come with that expectation that you're going to have to wait, and you're going to have to work. Basically, not even wait. You're going to have to work to develop the pieces that you need to be introduced to investors. But once you're ready, you know, we've had entrepreneurs, once they're ready, in one afternoon, they've been introduced to 35 investors. So once you're ready, things start moving really fast in terms of introductions. But in general, fundraising is a lengthy process, you know, and it's a low probability game. So that's why we try to protect you as much as possible so that you don't get burnt out through that process. And then media relations. We have great clout in the media. We have a lot of footprint. Our community is over 300,000 people. So we can get the word out about what you are doing, how you're doing, what you're doing, etc. Roman Antonov is asking, please, Sramana, please tell me, would you be interested in a senior advisory position in my startup? Obviously receiving equity in the venture. No, Roman, the only way I work with entrepreneurs is through the 1M1M program. So if you are interested in working with me as an advisor, you're going to have to immediately join the 1M1M program, and that's the only way I will be working with you. The $1 Million Club link on the homepage of our website gives you case studies of entrepreneurs who've been through the program and have had successes. Quantifying the 1M1M value equation link gives you an ROI analysis of the 1M1M program. Look at both to get a sense of what's this all about. The 1M1M self-assessment is a free set of questions. You see, you are the first and most important investor in your venture. Investors will be asking you these questions, but before they have a chance to do that, you should be asking these questions about your business of yourself. So that's why we've put this set of questions online, free, so that you can take a look at it and ask yourself these questions. Now, as you're answering these questions, or you're trying to answer these questions, you may run into knowledge gaps as it pertains to methodology. And there, if you need help, you can sign up also for 1M1M Basic, which is our curriculum-only option. That's just $99 a month. And you can learn all the methodology that you need to learn to address those questions. If for instance, you need help with TAM, you can go sign up for 1M1M Basic and you can learn all about TAM. If you need to learn about positioning, you can go into Basic and learn that. So Basic is a very fast, easy way for you to get into the program and start learning methodology of how to put one foot before the other. You're welcome to join either Basic or Premium. It's up to you. Or you can also continue to use the program in its free mode. Whatever suits you is fine. We just want you to, you know, be successful. Our whole agenda of being here with you week after week after week is to help you find a support group, find knowledge, find guidance, and hand-holding so that you can succeed and you don't make the same mistakes that, you know, have been made by entrepreneurs over and over again. 10% of all entrepreneurs in America actually close shop each year. And that's a real wastage of energy. So our effort is to try to, you know, help you not go out of business, to stay in business, to make progress, and to become successful. The website is very rich with information about what to expect from each of the programs, Premium, Basic, whatever. There are lots of video FAQs. Look around. The case studies are powerful case studies. There are over 50 case studies of unicorn entrepreneurs, which are incredibly, you know, inspiring, companies that have gone up to $1 billion+ valuations. There are 400+ venture-funded companies in the case study repository. There are 300+ bootstrap success stories. So it's a really rich curriculum, and it's both inspiring and educational. It's inspiring because these are people like you who started from nothing and became really successful. And you learn, I've asked them questions so that to understand how they've moved block by block. So each of the case studies have tremendous amount of strategic, nuance to it. How have they succeeded? What have they done to succeed? And you'll learn a lot from just, really immersing yourself into these case studies. That's it. Our methodology, as I said, is lean, capital-efficient bootstrap startups. You will need to bootstrap before you can raise financing. That's a given. That's how the industry operates. It's not in my hands. I'm not asking you to do this because I want you to do this. It's because that's how the industry operates. That's it. The next 3 roundtables are in November 3rd, 10th, and 17th, after which we have a bit of a break, Thanksgiving, and then I have a bit of travel. In fact, Roman, I'll be headed to Berlin. I'm in London at the end of November, in Berlin the first week of December. So those are pretty much what I have to offer you here for the time being. We can go to Q&A. I will take, I see a bunch of questions. I will answer them just a moment. You can also call in at this point and ask questions. I want to introduce you to Irina Patterson. If you have questions about the 1M1M program, I see a lot of questions about the program. Please contact Irina at 1m-by-1m.com, and she'll be happy to answer all your questions. Let me see the ones that I can pick up here. Roman, your question about being introduced to investors, I think you have issues with investors wanting to invest in your company, because what you're asking them to do is install all these kiosks without a lot of evidence that there will be market adoption. And we have to come up with a strategy to mitigate that, which is why I was asking you questions about, is there a way to go around that? I'll be happy to work with you, to see if there's a way to do that, if you decide to join the program. I see that you have another question. Charletta has a question. Okay, Roman's next question is another question. Do you think you have someone specific for me as a VC or investor who would be interested into funding the next unicorn startup? Well, there's no evidence that you're the next unicorn startup, so I can't really, I'm not convinced that that's what you are. So there are issues with your financing that needs to be worked around. Would it be fine to network with me on LinkedIn? Absolutely. In fact, after this session, you will be receiving a LinkedIn invitation from my account. Feel free to accept, and we will be connected from here on. Charlotte Jean-Louis is asking here from San Jose, California, looking forward to working with you in a premium program while I bootstrap my lottery pooling venture. Very good, Charlotte. I look forward to seeing you in the program and working with you going forward. And Roman, you're asking what's the best way to keep in touch and meet me in Berlin. Well, I don't know yet. My Berlin trip is pretty full, so we'll see. You have all the evidence, okay? We are producing turnover from day one. So I need more information. I guess the answer to your question is I need all that information to be able to give you a more complete answer about your fundability. But I'll be delighted to work with you. That is correct. There are not too many startups that can produce turnover from day one. So if you have evidence that you're producing startup from day one, that's very good news. Jai Pan, please don't send me messages privately. Jai, you're sending me messages privately. Your question is, how often will we be able to interact with you during the course of the year once we are in the program? Every week. We have private roundtables every week. Plus, you can send me emails. So I'm extremely accessible. Once you're in the premium program, I'm extremely accessible. Anybody else? Any other questions? As I said, folks, you can also contact Irina with further questions about the program, and otherwise just go to the website, dig around, you know, we don't want to sell you. We want you to kind of investigate yourself, decide whether this is the program for you. And if you decide that it is the program for you, just join the program and we can get going with your business and start working on your ventures. Roman, you will be connected to me on LinkedIn, so you will have no difficulty reaching me at all. Anybody else? Any other questions? All right, folks, please come back. You know, I see that you have a lot of questions. Come back next time. We will see you next week. November, the first 3 weeks we have, you know, roundtables. So come back. Let's continue the conversation. Let's continue working on your ventures. The 4th November Thursday is off because that's Thanksgiving in America. That's all. Otherwise, we are here all of November. All right, folks. Good luck. Good luck, everybody, and see you soon. Bye-bye.